Mic check, 1 2 1 2. We here again. All right. So basically, as you see the thumbnail, and you know, community building. The crazy part is when it comes down to it, a lot of us we kind of speculate on things. We kind of think, despite all odds, making money, we can get together and do things. When it comes down to it, the crab in the bucket mentality is actually real. A lot of people can't work for the greater good. Boss lady, what's going on? A lot of us can't, as the old people say, stay out of your own way. For the love, a lot of people can't do what's necessary to make the money and to do things they want to do. Prime example, you know, it's been proven years upon years upon years that, you know, life insurance is something that you should have. Jessica, morning to you. Life insurance is something that we should have, but there are those who don't have it. You know, like I've told people time and time again, my great grandmother told me about life insurance, and I was young, probably 10 or whatever. So, and everything she kept saying was, "You don't want to be a burden." That was her course for, you know, getting the life insurance and stuff. You don't want to be a burden to people. That's like her biggest, thing trying to talk to people and trauma was going on. You can actually not have life insurance, but if something happened to you, you're screwed. Like, who's gonna bury you? You leaving that up to somebody else. That's when she talked about, you don't want to be a burden to nobody because a lot of people tend to be burdens. They're not having their life in order. They're not doing what's necessarily needed. They're they don't even have the necessarily, information to succeed in life. And you can blame their parents, but like once a YouTuber told me, once you turn 18, you're responsible for yourself. Anything you didn't learn from your parents, it's your job to go out there and learn it. But needless to say, showing the thumbnail, you literally have $10,000 separating you from being franchised in a steak and shake. For those that have steak and shake in your town, um, I'm trying to think what's relative to steak and shake in other states. It's more like a bigger version of Crystals or White Castles, but they're flat patties on burgers, but they're more bigger than Crystals and White Castles. Tamika in the building. But needless to say, $10,000 could get you into the franchise. So if each person give $1,000, they could be part of a franchise that can potentially make them large sums of money. I mean, have an understanding when you invest in a franchise, knowing the risks involved, and also with that, knowing if the franchise can make money. That's the number one thing that a lot of people always fail to realize when dealing with these franchise business. You can have a franchise for a Popeye, but if you put it in the wrong neighborhood, it's not going to make any money. Why do you think in certain areas you have more liquor stores, Dollar Trees? Well, not Dollar Trees, but what is it, Family Dollars? Those stores conveniently, they're put in position to, extract more money out of certain communities. So those franchises they do somewhat well. I mean, honestly speaking, they did a survey and found out the Family Dollar was saturating a lot of the urban communities, and they were having at least about, I would say, one every 5 to 10 miles from each other. Like literally sold. There is one on the west side of Atlanta. I know there is $1 Family Dollar that's always been there all these years. Old style, old one. Then probably no more than 5 miles down the road, they built another one. This was in a plaza, updated, more more refrigerators where they have more food to sell. They have more shelves for the food in case somebody don't go to the grocery store. And I'm like, man, you can just go to the grocery store and it'd be cheaper, and you get a bigger size and you get a better variety. But for somebody who don't have a car in that area, it's like that's their only option. Technically, you can get a ride from a family member, a friend. Like they kind of force you into like, well, this is your only option because we're close and we're convenient. And it's great for places that don't have a lot of grocery stores there, to where the options are kind of futile to where you have to deal with it. But like I said, dealing in a franchise, all it takes about 10 people to get $1,000, and you can actually get a Steak and Shake franchise. But how many people can you trust or literally deal with to start up a franchise? I mean, do you literally have 10 family members that you can honestly say that they're going to do the right thing? Do you even have 10 friends that you can honestly say do the right thing? When it comes down to it, people get greedy over money. Everybody don't want to, share. If one person's doing more than the other, they have complaints. So what's the outcome? When it come down to it, a lot of times we always family this, working together, but for what reason? Because if you can't honestly trust one of your family members to go into business, how cool is that family member? If you can't go into business with one of your friends, how good is that friend? Needless to say, I actually went into business with one of my friends. It failed horribly, and then we actually came back. Kind of after the smoke was settled, we actually talked with each other and kind of seen a little of the mistake, but at the same time, kind of got past that. But then started going into a phase of you know foolproof situation, working together and making things work. For the greater good of what family and money. When it come down to it, you be like, well, I don't like you particularly, or I don't like the way how you handle things. But business is business. Sometimes things aren't pleasant when it comes to that. You know, sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and that's the biggest aspect of a lot of people, man. Right now I'm in the process of doing a garden, and I'm putting my garden together. You know, and this goes in with this right here. Getting into the gardening community. This is my second year actually growing something outside of when I did it as a kid. Not really too much, but more or less now I'm buying soil, learning different ways to grow, trying to figure out the nutrients to, provide for my, dirt to turn into soil, finding out you can't just really grow stuff in the dirt like that. Certain things you can grow in this Georgia red clay, and certain things have to be added to make it to grow. Same thing with the process of business. People working together for the greater good. Sometimes I'm not gonna be there to water my plants. I end up getting something to water my plants because depending on my kids, 50-50, these are teenagers. Same thing in business. You have to put things in play to actually help you, run your business and structure your business properly. Because when it come down to it, most people, when we have situations, we don't have nobody to call on. We don't have nobody to help us. We have to deal with these burdens alone. So why not have, you know, systems in play to where you can work for the greater good and help work things out? You know, um, one thing I've talked to a lot of guys in different spaces, and just not ashamed of it because a lot of guys in the manosphere who I used to talk to, were pretty decent guys, but Lisa J was going on. But one of the biggest things that I've seen so far once I was talking to him, wasn't really dealing with it no more, was tend to a lot of the guys that wasn't growing. They were stuck in the same place. They were motivating themselves to stay in the same place. You know, shout out to this one guy, Truth as I Know It. He always talk about family building warriors, and you know, this guy putting in the work. He actually has a family. He's doing things for himself. He's doing things for his family. He's trying to encourage people. If you want to get married, get married. If you don't want to get married, don't get married. It's the option thing. Everybody has a choice in the matter. Just like working with each other as far as business. Everybody has a choice either to do business with each other or to not to do business with each other at all. You know, it's a choice for you to get in a relationship or stay single by yourself. But, picking your choice comes with, burdens, comes with disappointment, comes with certain acknowledgement, and it also comes with regret, you know. But then it also is gonna have the bright side to it as well. But, for the more or less, everybody always find the worst possible to try to make scenarios, be as they are. Prime example, when I went into business with my friend, and another guy told me, despite you guys being real close friends, I think you should just stop dealing with him in business to save your friendship. And when I did that, that was technically it was the best advice for me. But now hindsight, looking back at it, I actually think that, I should have separated the two, you know, and that probably would have gave us, we probably would have been a little more alone than we were with the business, and everything would work out a little better because my whole thing was from the friend side. I don't see how certain things were being done and it shouldn't have been done. Especially with me trying to look at things as a protocol type of situation. And then, as far as the business side, I knew things had to be done. I knew things had to get done. But, you know, me coming from the worker side, going to the management and upper and to owner, it gave me more of an understanding that I still had to look out for the employees because I was once that. And I know that me working on that side compared to moving up, I still have to keep those people in mind because a lot of companies fail to realize that. Even with these franchises, they fail to realize the people at the bottom keep keep everything moving. As the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If the people at the bottom are not moving, the company's not progressing and the company's not moving. A lot of times we hear all these talks, we hear stuff going over our head about things, and we really don't sit down and take a look at, the main issue of really what's going on in society, you know, because a lot of times, we want to do things our way, the way we're taught, the way we get selfish and, shout out to the nine laws of self-government. You want to apply that selfishness, but at what time is it convenient for you? Because you're being selfish to, not for the greater good that can help people, but just because you want to be, you know, no. That's where the hard part comes in with business. A lot of people want to conduct business or do business right, but then due to their upbringing, ethics and morals kind of get kicked out the door, you know, that bottom line. I've seen guys try to work Even with, other companies I've dealt with, type of management, seeing guys work at themselves on just, getting over on people. And when it comes down to it, hey, they're in a situation to where, they literally could be, out on the street. They literally could, what's going on, Breeze Omega? They literally can have situations where they can help people, but they do more harm than good. That's why when it comes down to it, I always try to, be fair about my judgment on what I, do and deal. You know, Being in business, knowing working with people, dude, everybody don't have it, you know, and that's understanding. One of my friends actually right now, sidebar, me and him doing a project together. This is the same guy that we bumped heads a while back, still doing business together, separating the two, but also, listening to each other's side about this situation. We're in the process right now of renovating the home, and doing in that renovation, working together for the greater good. Everybody's strong suit. You know your position. You know your role. What you do. I know my position. I know my role and what I should do in this project. You know, Nobody's being bigger than one another. Nobody's not trying to pull rank. We've already established certain things in the past, so now everything is smooth sailing. It ain't too many people that can work like that, friends, family, and all, because you don't have that level of understanding. Like I said, 10 people taking $1,000 and getting a steak and shake. You're a part of a franchise. You can literally make money. And the only thing that's holding you back, you don't even have 10 people you can trust. You don't have 10 family members you can trust. You don't have 10 friends you can trust. Even mixing the two, I honestly probably have about, I would say, less than 5 people I know I can do that business with. So we would just have to put up 2,000 apiece, because we definitely can't go to 10. Even in some cases, I would say that I probably would just do 3 people, and come up with the other, because it's hard to literally work with people that are not business minded. Queen is in the building. What's going on? If you're technically not business minded, or have the, know how to, convert, as they say, code switch, it's gonna be hard for you to understand certain things. You know, Even with me, like I said, getting into the management side, I was still looking more on the, employee side, which my thing has always been that. Ever since I've started my first business up until now, I've always kept whoever I had working for me in mind, because potentially, if I keep them on eggshells or unhappy and they're a good worker, as it stands, I'm going to lose that worker. And then what they say, the small people at the bottom, they're, like I say, they're the ones that run this thing. If I'm running a steak and shake franchise and I'm not, working with the employees, say they want to take days off, and I'm coming in there checking on it, looking at the books, not even flipping a burger or nothing, or not even taking out the trash, it's gonna look a certain way, to where, man, dang, man, I'm doing all this hard work, and then it's not even appreciated. He come in here, even though it's my job to, give orders but not bark at orders. Why can't I see a piece of paper and just pick it up and throw it away myself? Why I gotta go to one of the people that's working? Hey, when you get done taking that order, go over here and pick this piece of paper up off the floor right here by me. So you have to take that in consideration, you know, when I could just do it myself. Sometimes the line may be long. I have to come out there and help. I remember, I ain't gonna even lie. I worked at Crystals for literally, and that's White Castle, for people up north and all that. I worked at Crystals for literally 3 weeks, and the only reason I quit that was the shortest job I ever had, probably that I'm thinking of. The shortest job I ever had, literally, because the manager got frustrated because the rush hour was too much at this store, and he never seen anything like it. So he literally just like checked out. He went in the office, said he had to go do paperwork. It was already, I think, about 3 people called out that day, and it was supposed to be like 5 of us or something like that, or 7 of us, and I think it was only like 3 or 4 people that day. And the crazy part, like I said, man, dude checked out, and when he checked out, I was like, I don't even have to do this. Like, I think I was what, maybe 10th grade or 11th grade. I was like, man, I really don't need this job. I just need extra money, but I can go get extra money doing other stuff besides it. I'm just, just wanted to get it because my friend was saying how easy it was, and it was like technically it was laid back. Nobody really ate at Crystals like that until like the weekend at night. You know, every now and then you'll have somebody come in there and get about 10 crystals, but on the weekend when they leave the club, man, they getting 30 crystals. One dude came in there and ordered 50 crystals. Then somebody behind him ordered 50. The grill only, I think it was on like 24 crystals a grill. And so that's when the line started backing up with the long wait. And, it's crazy because when the inside closes, I'm going into a rant. Sorry about this. But when the inside closed, they actually would cut off the front grill and only use the back grill. And I'm like, dude, you can get it faster if you just keep front grills on and getting the customers out. But if the people don't want the order, then now we got to take the crystals because they do that all the time. They'll order 50, come to the line and be like, I want 10. They'll order 20, come to the line, I want 5. So I can understand them doing it that way. But at the same time, when you have a line behind you, even if every person orders 5 crystals, all those crystals are going to get sold. And, that's the order of things, with doing business, making things work for your employees, making it easier on them so it'll be easier on you. You know, Same thing with, a lot of times where they have the headsets where certain people up in the line, you might have somebody's taking the money, you have somebody giving the order. Having that headset to where you know what the order is and working with each other, people in the line looking at the screen, making everything run smooth, putting things in place. There's certain franchise I've been to. Man, there's franchise like a McDonald's franchise I went to back in the day because I don't eat McDonald's no more. But that McDonald's franchise was so good in Kentucky. They literally took an old bank, turned it into a McDonald's, and they had like it was an upscale. It was like uh what's it called? Wingback chairs in there on certain sides where it's like real nice leather chairs over there. You eat your meal, nice tables over there. Then there were the other side where like a family side where they can deal with the kids and all that stuff. It was real nice. But at the same time though, you know, it was a point in which like I was telling my wife when I went there before, I was like, man, that was like one of the best McDonald's I ever been to. And, I was just telling her like the franchise restaurants do better because they want more of a reputation type name for themselves. So they go above and beyond than most companies do to actually show how good they are. Sorry, moving around, trying to grab something real quick. About to jump off in a minute. Got to get to some doing some extra paperwork. But at the same time, though, a lot of times, man, you have literal situations to where you don't have people you can work with. You don't have like this online community. I went to the Soar family meetup. Literally, there's people out here talking with each other, giving seeds, giving plants, you know. They're selling seeds and selling plants, but they're also giving this stuff too. Like they seed trades. I'm talking about so many people working together, giving seeds. Same thing about information. Lisa J with her channel. Lisa J's just giving out the information. I always say this when I give out my information. I'm not the one that pushes. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm literally telling you my thoughts, my opinions, and it's up to you. Same thing with Lisa J. She's just actually giving you the information that she's learned, that she's working and going along and doing, and trying to help you get to a point of being successful. And then it's up to you if you want to do it or not. A lot of times we have these situations where we have people that can help us, but then goes into what? Who's out here really wanting to help? You know, who's out here really putting the time in to say, okay, man, I'm gonna do what's required. Man, I'm gonna get this done. Man, I'm gonna get that done. A lot of people aren't, and so in the return, by a lot of people not doing what they're supposed to do, it starts hurting. It's like what they call it a trickle effect. It starts going downstream, where a lot of people are getting together trying to start a business, and you have this one bad apple that's out here not doing what they're supposed to do. You know how that affects everybody else. We have business meetings. I remember when we used to have business meetings for this lawn care business I started with my friends because needed some extra money. So I was like, man, let's start a lawn care business. That can boost you, get you a little money because you don't want to quit your full time job. You're gonna get a pension from it. And I told him, I said, man, there's nothing wrong with that. Jake Media in the house. And I told him there's nothing wrong with you, staying at this job, man. You're gonna get a pension from this job, cool. And I guess the part of you dealing with this job is the growth aspect. And so he stayed at the job for the growth. We started a lawn care business. Everything was running smooth. For some reason, I'm not gonna go all the way into details, but this guy wanted to bring somebody in that didn't know the business, but because they knew finance, they can help long term and all this stuff. They did customer service. And my thing was, dude, we don't need this person. We're not a big Fortune 500 company. We're just a small company, a couple of guys. It was a total of four of us. And, we wasn't, there yet. But my thing was, we'll keep that person in mind later. Lo and behold, did it anyway. Start, having that person answering calls, and man, it went downhill. Like there was, I'm just gonna be quick with this because I'm about to get off here too. There was a job that we had. It was three jobs that needed to be done. One up here in Georgia, one in Port Lucie, and what was the other one at? In Miami, I think. And St. Port Lucie is not that far from Miami. Probably like what on the turnpike, you're looking at about hour, not hour, about two and a half, 2.5, maybe 3 hours. And so, it came to the point of us doing that job, and the lady was like, "Well, we're not doing that job." So I'm like, "Why you say we're not doing the job?" She was like, "Well, one was in Douglasville and two was in Florida." And I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "Well, you guys are not traveling that far." And I was telling the lady, I said, "Well, when it come down to it, a customer that deals up here in Georgia and they're trying to get all properties cut under one company, they technically will pay for travel." And she never heard of it. And that's what I was telling her. I said, well, that's why I technically didn't want you to, do this, just answer the phone calls. That's, after them pushing her to get in there, I was like, well, just answer the calls and relay the message to me. I'll talk to the people, I'll structure the deals and all that. But because, she wanted to be more hands on, she was answering the calls and kind of, really trying to run a price analysis and didn't know, what she was doing. And like I said, back to those guys, four guys we started, supposed to say like a franchise. far as with business, all of us had a different mindset. And I'm telling them, I'm like, dude, how y'all get people that don't know what they're doing and running the show? I'm like, you guys don't even know what you're doing. I mean, literally, kind of, I can say I didn't either, but it's not hard to run a grass cutting business. You literally get your contracts, or you get the people who need their grass cut and cut it. It's not rocket science. It's not something that requires a big degree, a degree in accounting and all that. You cutting grass, but literally getting back to it, those guys, you know, one all he knew was just cutting grass, but two of them all they knew was just cutting grass, and one had a little decency because he worked for a company before, but he was a yes man and followed the leader. And with me coming in breaking this stuff down, they wasn't fathoming like, man, oh, we need this done. Oh man, we need that done. And I'm like, that's the point why I'm telling you guys, like, these guys we never met in the middle because everybody was on different pages. And like I said, as a result of us doing this as a franchise, man, you know how bad it got. I literally came in one day, and this was the crazy part. Coming into the business, we had one push lawnmower, and a weed eater and a blower that the guy borrowed from his granddad. So I said, well, if I come in, we're gonna work together. I'm gonna get equipment. I think I had like a little hand blower, not a backpack blower. So I went literally purchased two blowers. I purchased four weed eaters. I purchased another push lawnmower and a riding lawnmower, and I rented a trailer, and I actually put a trailer hitch on my vehicle, which messed my transmission up over the time. But it it was what it was. And the crazy part was, with all of us doing this together, working together, when it was all settled, the guys started wanting the equipment, and I was telling them when we was breaking up the business, I was like, I paid for this stuff out of my pocket. Like, the equipment wasn't free. This is what I'm talking about, dealing with people that are not business minded. They literally thought like, man, he just bought all the equipment with the money we was making. Granted, that I think we was in business for probably 2.5 months, and we made over $5,000. I think it was what, 5,000, close to right at 5,000 for them 2.5 months, and that's pretty decent. Just doing it on the weekend as a side job, that was pretty decent, you know. And we split it down, but the thing of it was paying them, paying for their gas, paying for other little extra habits or whatever they want to do with money. I gave them money out of my check because I was making pretty decent money. So I would pay them in advance for stuff and just take it out of the jobs that we were doing. They were just like a payday loan. But the thing of it was, I wasn't charging interest. And it got to a point so bad, like, as far as with business, trying to work with family and friends, it gets pretty hard. So that's why I was saying, when you're trying to do something like this, a franchise or start up a business, if you don't have people that are business minded and stuff, could you really do this business? Could you really start a franchise with family members that, literally don't know what they're doing? Could you really start a business and be successful at this stuff? Because it gets hard when, you have to reteach or teach certain things to people that really don't know nothing. And that's the biggest aspect that I'm saying about this whole thing, about franchise, working together, going into business. You're dealing with somebody that doesn't know something. Their expectation going into this is, I'm doing what I want to do. This my friend. We working together. Great, and man, it's gonna be cool. And like I said, that first business I started with one of my other friends that was, really business minded. I mixed the friendship in there when it should have been just strictly business. But my thing, And I'm gonna jump. I keep saying I'm gonna jump off. I gotta go to work. But this was the thing, like with the situation I seen. No Diddy. To start off by that. So Puff Daddy, he had a dude that he actually um produced a lot of his beats for him. So the guy was very talented. And Puffy arranged for him to, come in the studio one day and him and the guy was talking and he literally told him, "Hey man, you want to be a part of Bad Boy?" He was like, "Yeah, oh man, that's a dream of mine. Appreciate it." So he's like, "All right, here go to the contract. You want to sign it?" So the guy was like, "Let me read over it. You know, just being smart. Let me read over it." Read over the contract. Took it home that night. Read over it some more. The next day came back and was like, "Hey man, this contract, hey, this thing ain't right. The amount of money you taking from me, like you gonna own everything, and then you got it like third partied out to where you get a partial, one of your kids get a partial and all that, and it got to the point where the guy was telling him that, hey man, you kind of screwing me on this deal, and he was like, well, if you don't like it, don't sign it. And at the same time, after doing that, he's like, you want to go to a party, and the guy, was like, no, I don't even want to hang around you. Like, you tried to screw me. But the thing of it was, the guy had to understand, and Puffy let it be known, this is just business. Excuse me. And a lot of times, people don't understand that, in business, a lot of times people are opportunists. They don't look out for the little man. They're opportunists. Their thing is to, you know, do what's best for them, get the best results, do this and that which benefits them, and that's it. Other than that, hey, this is just business, you know. But needless to say, I'm about to jump off of here. Have an understanding of people in your circle. You know, it's not saying much if you can't find 10 people to do business with because it's getting the limit of people who are responsible and doing the right things are trickling down tremendously. People that you thought that were business minded that could do the right thing, they're going with the herd. You know, same thing in relationships. Women and men that you thought that were good people are literally going along with the herd. You know, um, I seen this man. He was talking about a relationship between women and men. He said, "Well, if a woman who's a woman who grew up with a nice family household, and she fooled around and she hung around the women that were not so classy, how can you tell them apart if we dress the same and talk the same?" And the lingo goes with the same with men. You know, prime example. One of my friends, technically speaking, I stopped dealing with him because overall, this guy didn't ever take care of his kids. And my cousins made a real good point to me saying that you know travel was going on, and my cousin made a real good point to me saying that you know you associate yourself with people and their association pretty much you're adapted to them. So if this guy's not taking care of his kids, not doing the right thing, you're going to be associated with a person that's irresponsible just like this guy. So he's like, mind your company because, you know, this guy could potentially hurt you long term from relationships, dealings with people, because overall, he's a bad person who's going to make you look bad. Technically speaking, that's like girls' trips. You know, I was explaining to my wife one time, and we was talking because she said, "Well, you went on a boys' trip." I said, "Yeah, I've been on a boys' trip," and she was like, "Well, if I go on a girls' trip," I said, "Yeah, I don't mind you going on a girls' trip, but not with a whole bunch of single women." She was like, "Well, you went with single dudes." I said, "Technically speaking, it was probably just one. It was, I think, it was one guy. We went to a wedding." My wife didn't want to go, and the crazy part is, like I was telling my wife, it's nothing against her going out with the women, but more or less, it's like a lot of times, this is just my opinion, with the single women, they're traveling. What's going on, Alonzo? Like the single women and the single men, they both come with the same aspect. They both come with the point of they both come with a different, dang, this dude calling me. Sorry, I just got a call, but most of the time with men and women, they're in situations when men, single. Yeah, sorry about that. Losing my train of thought on the phone. But okay, it's really no big difference between a single man and a single woman. Single man, he's gonna play around just like a single woman's gonna play around. And like I was telling my wife, I was like, more or less, if you're the type of person that's that's responsible, all this stuff is gonna mean nothing to you when someone tries to play on your intelligence and tell you to go out here and wild out. You know, and needless to say, not saying that my wife is not responsible, but my whole thing was when it come down to it, I'd rather you be around married women because y'all have the same values. You know, even with my friend being single, this guy is respectful. You know, and that's the only reason I, went out with this guy. My wife was comfortable with me, going to this wedding, with the guy. We was all kicking it. One of my friends, that's his daughter, and she pretty much grew up. So she was wanting me to come no matter what. My wife didn't feel like going. Um, it was no kids because I would have easily took my boys because they had a son, but it was due to the wedding being so expensive. They literally had to,